Gets me every time. Just give me a wee minute while I compose myself. That's Sunshine on Leith from the Proclaimers, taking me to our final item on the afternoon show today. Usually in Edinburgh at this time of year, you're going to meet walking tours filled with many people looking to take in the city and its streets, filled with history in every step. And now, as we're looking to get outdoors and do more exploring, a walking tour seems like a great idea to do just that. So why not chuck in a wee bit of humour to it as well? Well, as part of the Leith Comedy Festival, there is a truly unique comedy event coming out of Leith in the shape of a socially distant walking tour with award-winning tour guide Paul Stewart of Invisible Cities as he takes his guests on a journey around Leith, sharing historical curiosities, personal anecdotes and juicy details that will make your jaw drop. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Hello, Grant, how you doing? I was just recovering myself. Bring tear to a glass eye, that song, wouldn't it?
Oh, I tell you, it's one of the songs that you just can't really interrupt until it's finished all the way through. Paul, listen, before we start, actually, I'm just looking at my Twitter feed here, and I'm seeing a certain tweet from a Paul Stewart. It says, I'm on the afternoon show at 3:30. I'm going to pull Grant Stott up for the 600 quid that he owes me. Mind you, he doesn't know anything about it. Tune in to find out what happens. Okay, then I'm racking my brains, Paul. I'm racking my brains. At what point have I let you down? What's this about?
Well, the year is 2005, Grant. It's a long time ago, I appreciate, but I'm living in Marbella, working for a luxury lifestyle magazine, who actually let me publish an article on Leith, by the way. And I was also working as a chauffeur for a businessman in Marbella. And I come home to see the pantomime, Jack and the Beanstalk. My son Jamie is 4-year-old. He's terrified of Grant Stott, who was playing the bad man. I've spent hundreds of pounds to come over for 3 days. Right. In fact, in your defence, Grant, the manager took us into the dressing room at half time and you gave him a sweetie and you took off your wig and you told him you were a hip supporter, and Jamie said, oh great, like, you know. We came back after interval. Up you've came through the trap door on the stage. Well, that's it. That was the last straw. Jamie was off with the door. So I spent about £600-700 to come home for 3 days to take up your pantomime that you saw for about 3 minutes because of you.
Well, so, I would like to apologise for that, but I'm not going to, because this is part of the.
When I remind him, he's 18 now, and when I remind him, he's totally mortified because his sisters at 3-year-old went to the pantomime and they loved it.
Oh, that is brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, that's one of the highlights of being the panto villain, is you get paid to scare the wains.
Oh no, it must be an amazing job. Actually, I've got to it's not on this year, to be honest. So you must
it is. It really is. But listen, let's not talk about my let's just create a panto. Let's deal with why you're on the show. And Funshine on Leith is your tour. And Paul, you're no stranger to walking tours. How long have you been doing tours, and specifically in the Leith area?
Well, I started with Invisible Cities in January 2017. And I'd done a tour guide training with the Crisis Homeless charity, and then that inspired me to go to Edinburgh College to do further tour guide training. And I grew up in Leith during the so-called train spotting period. You know, it's got its own period nowadays, like Jurassic period, train spotting period, you know. And I grew up during that period, and I don't like crowds too much, to be honest, and so it made perfect sense for me to do my first tour on train spotting in Leith, you know. And I loved the books, I loved the movies, so I'd done my first tour on train spotting. And that was how I actually got involved with the Leith Comedy Festival, actually. Two girls came on my tour, train spotting tour last year, nothing unusual about that. However, they came with 2 young kids in buggies. And like, as you can appreciate, train spotting contains some graphic content, like, so you know. And, but to be honest, it's not unusual for people to swear in front of children in Leith. Let's not be a hypocrite here. So we went on the tour. We did get a few strange looks, right enough. And it was Rosalind, the girl who was launching the Leith Comedy Festival. For some reason, she thought I was quite funny. And she asked me to create this tour about looking back at a light-hearted look of the history of Leith and some of the characters who have frequented Leith in the past. And yeah, so we've done that. It's actually available to buy from the 30th of August. We've done some filming last week.
So it's available to get online as well?
Yeah, well, from the 30th of August, because that's finishes this weekend, so it'll be available to buy online. We went out and done some filming last week, went into the Central Bar and stuff like that. So yeah, as you know, it's Leith Grant, and anything can happen on a Leith tour.
Absolutely.
And it quite frequently does. I've been threatened to get stabbed, mugged, assaulted. But that's part of the fun.
Let's
what's going to happen.
Let's also focus on the positive. We talked about my experiences in Panto. That's the great thing about doing Panto. You never know what's going to happen when that curtain goes up and out you go. And I would imagine it's similar with this when you're taking a trip around Leith. Give us an idea of a couple of the characters and a couple of the little anecdotes that you drop into this tour, Funshine on Leith.
Well, I tell a lot of stories about Queen Victoria, who's obviously known as Sticky Vicky, christened so by Spud in Train Spotting. And I tell people about her drug taking. She should, to be honest, Grant, she should have been in Train Spotting, Queen Victoria. She took more drugs than I did when I was growing up. You know, cocaine, opium, cannabis, alcohol. She liked to have children, 9 of them. And, you know, so I tell a few. She actually gave cocaine to Winston Churchill in Balmoral. And they don't obviously tell you this during school times, like, you know. So I like to go out and find out the truth and all the gore and the dirty secrets behind some of the characters in Leith. And so she's one of them. I tell a story about Irvine Welsh as well, for anybody who's interested in Irvine Welsh's life before he was famous. There's a book called Car Spotting. I don't know if you've read it, Grant.
No, I haven't. No.
By his mate Sandy McNair, who tells it was like basically about Irvine Welsh before he went down to London and stuff. You know what, they're into Northern soul and punk and stuff like that. And they tell the story about they went into the bar in Duke Street in Leith, and they were steaming drunk. And him and Irvine Welsh went up to the bar. 2 pints of heavy, please, barman. And the barman's looked at them. He's a 2 drunk lads. He'll need to leave. Irvine, assuming he was a bit of a character back in the day, he's like, 2 pints of heavy, barman. The barman's looked, didn't get wide. Come on, out. So he's chucked him out the pub. So they're reeking drunk, they're stotting about Leith. They went in a pub, they went up to the bar. 2 pints of heavy, please, barman. The whole pub's stunned into silence. The barman's looking at them, incredulous. They'd walked back into the same pub through a different door. To be honest, Grant, maybe you can help me with this one, because the guy Sandy McNair tells the story that it was in the Duke Street pub, the Golf Inn, and I can only remember that having one door.
One door. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. There we are.
So I don't know if that story's actually true, but bear in mind it's happened to more than one person in Leith. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure there's a few urban myths that we can tap into. We just enjoy telling over and over again. We wanted to road test this, right? So we sent our own Leither, Katrina Rose, along to the tour with her friend Holly Gardner, who had recently moved to Edinburgh before lockdown. This is what happened.
So I'm really excited to go on this tour. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to learn differently. I think most people who are from Leith and live in Leith and grow up in Leith will feel like they already know so much, or would like to think we know everything about Leith, but there's always something exciting about hearing about your area from someone else.
I'm Holly. I moved to Edinburgh about 2 weeks before lockdown, so I haven't really had a chance to fully explore and fully see Edinburgh. I live not far from Leith and have found myself kind of walking around the area a lot recently. To have the opportunity to go on a walking tour and find out more about its history, all those nooks and crannies that maybe the tourists don't know about, but the locals definitely do.
Oh yeah, but you've seen there's graphic content in this tour, guys, by the way. Sex, drugs, rock and roll. You know, it's called Sunny Leith. 320 days of sunshine here, you know. I don't know about that. Yeah, I think it would have been ironic when they named it Sunny Leith, because Leith in Gaelic means a wet, damp place. Thank you so much for coming today, guys. My name's Paul. This is the Leith Comedy Festival tour, Funshine on Leith. I like how to look at some of the characters who have visited Leith, what it was like growing up in Leith, a couple of train spotting stories and so on, and hopefully the weather will hold out. Irvine Welsh, when you know train spotting, he was just living round the corner. He used to go in there and obviously get inspiration from some of the guys. Most of the people in train spotting are based on real people, and this was a train station. And that's why it's mainly, there's a few reasons it's called train spotting, but this is the main one. Obviously in the books, this is where all the action is set, in the heart of Leith, and this was the main train station for Leith. It stopped taking passengers in the 50s, and it became a maintenance depot up until the end of the 1960s, and then it was just abandoned up until the 1980s, and that's why it's mainly called train spotting. So the flag has got a figure on it, right? Obviously, Scotland was a Catholic country up until 1560. It became a Protestant country here in Leith. Mary de Guise had to sign the Treaty of Leith and the Treaty of Edinburgh that meant when she died, Scotland became a Protestant country. This will actually stand in the fort just now. This was the most fortified area in Europe. During 1548 to 1560, it was actually part of France. It was considered an enclave of France here. There was thousands of French troops here to protect Mary de Guise, who was Queen Mary Scott's mum, who actually ruled Scotland from Leith. Ruled Scotland from Leith. We'll talk about that in a little while. So Scotland was a Catholic.
So the walking tour is now over, and I'm definitely glad that I packed my raincoat, but I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot about the history, kind of exploring pirates and royalty and politics, but all in a way that was very relaxed and informal and just really enjoyable to hear. And I felt like I knew Leith a bit better and more like the locals would know Leith.
When Paul was telling us all about like the history of Leith, there's elements that I realised that I've probably neglected as a local, you know, things that you just walk by that you don't pay attention to. There's things I knew, but other parts about the flags that I didn't really know, and ashamedly the massive connection to Mary Queen of Scots as well. I think what's really great about this tour, it's a tour by Leithers, not just for tourists but for Leithers as well. Like, get back out and get to know your community and your area and find out something new about it and get to know the people and see it through someone else's eyes.
Katina Rose and Holly Gardner out in the Funshine on Leith tour. Paul, the tour guide, is still with me now, and just listening to you, your head must be so full of facts and little fun bite-sized chunks of information about Leith. And it was interesting to hear what Katina was saying there as well about how people should be in this world where we're not obviously taking as many holidays abroad. We should be connecting more locally, and taking a tour in the hands of a tour guide like yourself must be a popular thing at the moment. What do you get? Any sort of highlights, Paul, with the connection you make from people who take the tour with you? Any funny stories?
Aye, well, to be honest, Grant, I didn't go to school very much. I had a pretty difficult childhood. I only went to school for less than 2 years, to be honest. And I now I'm well read. I'm very well read, but I was a Ned, to be fair. But I've had school teachers and educated people that have got degrees and all that come on my tours. And they say to me, I don't know half the stuff that you're talking about. And some of them, a lot of people, I get lots of reviews online, and a lot of people have said that they were inspired to go and learn more about Scottish history and stuff like that after a couple of tours. And that was even coming from school teachers and things like that. I'm in the top 14 experiences on Airbnb in Edinburgh. We're in the top 10% on TripAdvisor in the world, and I just recently qualified for the best tour guide in the world competition, and I got down to the last 7 of the tournament. I'm here speaking to my Grant Snot on the radio. I'm usually in the graveyard drinking bucky, you know what I'm saying? So it's a bit of a change for me, Grant, you know. It's good to be doing something positive instead of... I'm still on the dole, actually. I'm on benefits. I was supposed to be starting work with an American company, tour company, actually headhunted me online for my reviews this year. And obviously because of the pandemic, it kept on getting postponed, but they said they're coming back next year, so hopefully I'll get off benefits and all that. But I just applied for a job, just in case the producer's listening, for Coach Trip on Channel 4. You know, Coach
Yes,
Trip.
I do, yeah. I know the show, yeah.
I love it. It's my guilty pleasure in life, and I want Brendan's job. I want to be Brendan's assistant. So I just sent him an email a couple of days ago asking for a job as Brendan's assistant on the next Coach Trip.
Well, Paul, spending just a wee bit of time in your company, nothing would seem impossible for you to achieve.
The top, Grant, and work your way down, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Listen, it's been an absolute joy having you on the programme. We'll get you on some other time for another blather about Leith. Paul, great to talk to you. Thanks for taking time to speak to us.
Thanks very much, Grant, for your help, buddy.
No problem. Funshine on Leith has been so popular, he's had to add some extra dates so you can catch a tour until the 30th. And we'll put more information on the webpage if you want to find it. Well, that's it from me for today.